Chris Naoum is the founder of Listen Local First. It's a local music initiative devoted to building awareness and creating opportunities for local musicians to raise the profile of DC's local music scene. And I agree with this motivation so much. It was apparently Listen Local First is born out of a collaboration with Think Local First DC, and it seeks to partner with local musicians, art organizations, venues, businesses, and local government to create new avenues for local music exploration. So Listen Local First, it co-organizes two of the district's largest all local music festivals, which you heard about both of these in the intro. We've got Kingman Island Bluegrass and Folk Festival and the Funk Parade, which, by the way, if you're in DC, I hope you've attended both of these, and if you haven't, put it on your bucket list, your DC bucket list. Incredible examples of awesome DC music. Listen Local First has been working with a number of local government agencies and officials to establish a permanent DC local music task force to advocate for musicians' specific interests within the broader creative economy. So Chris Naoum himself is a telecom attorney with a background in copyright and media law and policy. And he's advocated on behalf of the independent music community for the past 7 years, focusing on artist development and policy reform that benefits the local creative economy. So having said all that, Chris, it's such a treat having you here, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I should have given you a shorter blurb.
Well, it was such a good blurb. I didn't want to leave anything out. It's so good. So tell us about Listen Local First. How did this come about? What's that story?
I was actually thinking about this on the way over here, and it's something I rarely say is, Listen Local First came out of the fact that, I was new to DC 9 years ago, and I loved sharing new experiences, sharing new music with people, with friends, and sort of, I guess it really comes out of my need and interest to share. And I had been working for an organization called the Future Music Coalition, doing a lot of music policy work, a lot of advocacy on behalf of the independent music community, and got to know so many DC artists, and I knew about all their shows. I knew about when they were playing, where they were playing, all sorts of genres of musicians. And I thought that if there was a way I can help get that word out or help create the connections that can can help these artists make new fans, then I can do something to help out the local music community. So I had all these young professionals and people in the city I knew at the time, that were all potential fans that I felt that needed to know about these bands. So really it was just this simple wanting to share, and then it's grown it's grown over the past 5 years.
Wow, and I love what it's grown into, because I first heard about you when it was back in, I think, 2014. Somebody was saying, I became part of the local music scene as a musician, and they were saying, Guy, Listen Local First, this is where you find it all. And so your name has definitely gotten out there in the community, and it's a treat to have you here, especially with all the stuff you've been doing for the scene. So, and now tell us about, have you just always been a music fan, or are you a musician as well? What's your music connection in your life?
Yeah, I've been a music fan. I love music. I had a brief stint 1 year where I sang a cappella in high school, but don't hold that against me.
An a cappella, you heard it here first, guys. A cappella singer, I love it.
And that's the only musical thing I've ever done. I think I took piano lessons. I did take piano lessons as a little kid, but I wasn't very good. So this was, it was my finding out. It's really the joy of that music brings to me, and live music was something that was so great. And it's something that I feel you have all these amazing local artists here, and I just wanted to get to know them. I wanted to know about their work. I wanted to know their story. I wanted to see their music. I wanted to see the journey they took on their musical careers. So it's all this interesting story, and I love hearing and learning stories. And every band has this story, and it's a business, and it's just.
How did now you in the intro I talked about how you're getting into policy and stuff now. Where did it go from really loving local music and connecting people to the local music? Where did it turn into the policy and working with the government all that stuff. How did that happen?
Right. So, in its at the beginning, what we were doing with Listen Local First, we were creating playlists, featuring artists each month or every 2 months, the 8 to 10 artists and new bands that were new albums that were being released, and we were partnering with local businesses and creating playlists and having the business and signing waivers and having the business pay fees, and we were basically operating as our own performance rights organization.
Wow.
And sort of paying out artists from what these local businesses that were playing the music streams. And we're doing something called Local Music Wednesdays, where everyone would all those businesses would stream those albums on those days. And so we were doing that and having showcases every month, and it just it was very, very time consuming. So that lasted for about at that pace for about a year and a half, and then I started working on larger festivals and larger events because as a time commitment, that was something that I can put more time in. I can work after work. I can do that, and I can do that at any hour at night or on the weekends. And then when festival season was off, I felt that the right thing to fill the time was working on ways to help the local music community. What are the issues? How can I understand policy? I understand the different parts of the local government. How can I take that knowledge and help connect artists with the people that can make a change, that can make a difference? And I've met so many people that have done great work here in DC and across the country, advocating for their local music community, that I felt that this was something that if I can help and if I can give information and get people together to give them this information so they can make changes for themselves, that's something that I wanted to do when I had the free time.
It's incredible what you've been able to accomplish in what seems like such a short time too. And when you think of accomplishments, then what, like the biggest success moment, what comes to mind?
There are a lot of accomplishments that we still need to take, especially in the policy world. I'd say personally, for me, it's pulling off a funk parade.
Talk about that, actually. Pulling off a funk parade. Say more on that.
So I'd worked for a couple larger events and festivals, and I started working with the Kingman Island Bluegrass Festival and helping book the bands, reach out to sponsors, bring in vendors, sort of working on the production side. And I was approached by my co-founder, Justin Rude, and he said, "Hey, I have this dream. U Street is such a historic corridor. There's so much music. There's so much history. There's so much sound. I love to dance. I love all these bands, these local bands. I had this vision of this parade with horns and George Clinton in front, roaring down U Street. And I woke up and I decided, why is there not a funk parade? And so, of course, he somehow got in touch with me, and I said, oh yeah, we can do a festival. Let's do a funk parade. And no one had any clue what a funk parade. And this is Justin's story too. The best thing about funk parade.
I love that this came out of a dream. Really,
it totally came out of a dream.
I love it.
And no one had any clue. And Justin says this all the time. It's the best. The best thing about funk parade is no one knew what funk parade was. So we could have done anything.
This sounds like something out of the Fight Club. The only rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Well, the only thing about Funk Parade is that nobody knows what Funk Parade is.
No one knew what a funk parade was, and I think that's the best line that Justin shares, and and that's kind of what we need to keep on doing every year is, as we're now in our fourth year, and so people say people expect certain things, but kind of our goal is to just mix everything up, mess it all up, throw it up, and try to do something that where they show up the day of, it'll be different. I don't want them to expect this is going to happen here, this is going to be here, even though there's something to that when you do it over and over again. But how can we add more spectacle? What can we add that's new that people don't expect this year?
So the only thing that's in common is the funk. Everything else.
It now has a structure, but yes, there's
right.
New music, new activations, new themes every year. So yeah.
Well, now, what about you outside of this stuff? So we've got Funk Parade, you've got this Listen Local First thing. So when you're not doing that stuff, who's Chris? What does he do?
I think it's all the same now. I don't know if there is a me outside of that. No, I have a day job. I work as a telecom attorney for a small telecom company. I do FCC regulatory work and spectrum management, which is really I mean, to most of you, that's extremely boring, but I've just been lucky and I've been blessed with the work that I do, with my business, and they allow me to work on these projects. I have a flexible schedule. I mean, I can take the evenings, and thanks to my wife too. Obviously, she is the.
Shout out to the amazing woman in your life, by the way. To your wife, thank you for letting him come on the show and let me borrow him for about an hour or two.
And letting me work very late nights a couple times a week to work on sending out emails and making sure lineups are set. And yeah, so I this time of year in my life is the festivals, really, and specifically Funk Parade. I like to take long trips and travel and just, I don't know, relax, play tennis. Who knows outside of that?
Relax and play. I love that. I love that collection. Travel, relax, and play tennis.
That makes me sound way too DC. I can't. I haven't actually played tennis in 2 years. So if anyone out there wants to play,
and traveling, where are you? Like foreign travel, domestic travel? What does travel mean?
Yeah, we took an awesome trip this past year. My whole family, I'm Romanian, and so we went with my brother and his wife and my wife and my parents, and we took a trip to the motherlands. And
wow,
took a 2-week trip. It was
amazing.
It was our 1-year wedding anniversary. I slammed my wife in a van with our whole family and said, "Here you go. Here's your anniversary. It's our 1-year wedding anniversary. Let's go spend 2 weeks in a van with your in-laws."
Is that what they do with their Romanian heritage? Is that what it is? On your anniversary, you got to lock her in the van with everybody? Yeah. Oh my God, Chris, I love it. That's amazing. So now, what about? So tell us. I realize with all the music you do, what's something in your music collection that might surprise us?
To the people that to my closest friends, it's not a surprise. But I'm a kid that grew up on the Beatles and my parents' Beatles records, and I have all of their original records, at my place. And obviously, I went through the period where I listened to all the pop music growing up, and it was the Nirvana and the Green Day at that time, which was what everyone was listening to throughout middle school. But then I had this I don't know if you guys, this realization about the Grateful Dead.
Really?
And the Grateful Dead was my gateway into music.
The Grateful Dead.
Yeah, and what they had done, and I listened to from my dad and through friends, and so that was really such a big moment for me in getting into music and what they were able to do with their music. I hadn't heard anything like it at the time.
Wow. All right. Well, I got two more for you. Two more questions I'm curious about. One is you'd mentioned like music policy and the DC cultural plan. Can you talk a little bit about that? What?
Sure. So what's going on right now is the city has been in the process of collecting data from the music community on how they're going to spend money and how they're going to direct policies over the next couple of years toward growing the cultural community. So what we did, we had a conference back in October, and you were at that conference. The whole idea was to bring people from the music community together to talk in a one-day panel or one-day conference focused on different aspects of music policy, everything from housing to media outlets and issues with different genres of music being lost, and jazz and go-go, and so how the city is addressing these different genres. So the cultural plan is happening now. It's still happening. They're still collecting data. My biggest interest in what Listen Local First is trying to do is find a way to sort of communicate to these different agencies. And we want to put together this task force, like you mentioned before. It's a way for artists to get centralized information about the government, to address concerns with different aspects of the government, and how we can get all these different facets of the government communicating about music the correct way. The other day, someone from some organization made some comment. It was published where it said, DC used to be a sleepy music town, and now we've got these amazing acts performing these big headlining these big festivals, and DC was never a sleepy music town. so it's when you're and it's just communicating that to people within the different agencies. Let's say the Office of Planning, obviously Arts and Humanities, getting the mayor's office on board, talking to the everyone from police to traffic when they're giving out permits for events. Like, how are we thinking about our music scene? Because how we think about it is sort of what we project upon it. So that's really a big part of the work I'm doing right now that's outside of the festival planning.
Wow. And it's so good. It's encouraging for me as a musician to hear that there's folks in there advocating for this, because oftentimes when you think about the government meetings, there's a total void from actually listening to the community. Even though I know that's not true, and they allow comment and stuff, but it's reassuring to me that you're there. So thanks for doing what you're doing on that front.
Well, and it's not even me; it's you. It's bringing together the people that want to have a voice and that have a strong voice to give. To explain to these people. So I had a number of events this summer where I brought people over to my house. From now on, you're going on that list. You're going to be invited to all those.
I'm touched. Thank you so much.
And so it's really getting the musicians themselves and organizing them to sort of meet with the correct people. So if I'm that middleman, then I'll take that.
That's awesome. All right, and one. If folks are interested in finding out more about you and Listen Local First and stuff, what are the resources? Where do they go to find out what you're doing and what's going on with Listen Local First?
So you can think of Listen Local First as umbrella. We like to share. I like to share stuff that's going on our Facebook page. You can check out Listen Local First on Facebook. You can check out Listen Local DC on Twitter. Listen Local DC on Instagram. Really, there's not a lot. We're not doing regular shows as Listen Local First. We're not doing regular events or playlists, but we are posting about advocacy, sort of trying. We have a listserv. We're trying to send information and distribute information to people. You can find out about the festivals by going to you can go to funkparade.com, Funk Parade on Facebook, Funk Parade on Twitter, and I think it's DC Funk Parade on Instagram. And that's really the main festival I work on now. I was working on the Bluegrass Festival. I'm not currently with them, though I did help book that festival, and I think the festival is going to be awesome. So you guys should check it out. It's KingmanIslandBluegrass.com. I think that's the website. But awesome. Kingman Island Bluegrass and Folk Festival.
Sure.
You can Google that.